The tidal wave of UFO disclosure is upon us. With just 2 months and 8 days left in 2024, the UFO topic is poised to explode into the mainstream. With numerous credible documentaries being released, some featuring new UFO evidence and whistleblower testimony, the Seoul Foundation is holding its second 2024 symposium with some heavyweight speakers, and a powerful hearing chaired by Representative Nancy Mace is slated for November 13th. The remainder of 2024 can be called the rising tide of cosmic revelations. Let's first dive into the upcoming hearing, which will take place in 21 days. On October 15th, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp discussed recent news regarding the alleged Immaculate Constellation UFO program, first reported by journalist Michael Schellenberger. In the following clip, Jeremy Corbell explains how the upcoming UFO hearing will spotlight this alleged program. He also emphasizes that there isn't just one whistleblower tied to the outing of this program.
This does not boil down to one person. We have to get that out of everybody's head. It's not true. There is an individual that has been talked about and is a patriot and has been walked into offices, and Michael Schellenberger reported on. That is true. That is public. There you go. Other than that, I am not saying shit. And here's the reason. At this time, if people's names aren't leaked, if information isn't leaked, the world will learn about it on November 13th. There is a way in which the world is 100% no stopping it gonna learn about it on November 13th for the congressional hearings. Now, there's a dramatic way that can happen and an undramatic way. If anybody were to with witnesses or us or anybody involved, it's gonna be dramatic. And we don't want that. We want the information out. And if it's the dramatic way, then all of a sudden, other people coming forward too.
On October 22nd, Jeremy Corbell doubled down on this with the following tweet. The good news, there's no way to stop the truth, a good portion of it, from being released. Even I can't stop it now. So that's fascinating and encouraging. It even has a date, 13 November in Congress. We're gonna see if America has grit. Participate, don't just contemplate. Before we proceed, I think it is important to share what the journalist who broke the Immaculate Constellation story had to say about the claim that this story is based on circular reporting.
I think that there is the potential for a significant amount of circular reporting. As a journalist, you're always worried about that. This new whistleblower is not part of that circular reporting. I am confident of that. They also, this person did not know the other individuals who verified the name of this program. So I do believe this, and I have checked the credentials of this whistleblower. They are who they say they are. And so it is not part of it does not fit the theory of social contagion.
If the main whistleblower did not know the other people who verified the name of this program, Immaculate Constellation, that substantially increases the probability that this is a real program and not the result of a misunderstanding. Furthermore, it is strongly apparent that the November 13th hearing will include witnesses vouching for the reality of this program. This is going to put the Department of Defense in a tough spot.
Given the news cycle, you could announce anything about aliens or extraterrestrial life and no one would care. So I'm going to take the shot. What do you got on UFOs, aliens, etc.? Go.
The truth is out there, Jeff. And the truth is, we have no evidence to indicate extraterrestrial life has visited the planet. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Pentagon Press Secretary Patrick S. Ryder has continued the long-standing American tradition of lying to the public about the UFO issue. What's coming before the end of this year is a direct pushback against this multi-decade policy of lying and obfuscating to both the American public and the global populace. Journalist Ross Coulthart had this to say about the press conference. A denial statement on non-human intelligence that the Department of Defense will soon live to regret. And Disclosure Party added, what actions will Congress take if the information provided by Major General Patrick S. Ryder, the Pentagon's press secretary, is proven to be false? Without consequences, there is no deterrent to ongoing dishonesty from public officials in the military and intelligence community. Make no mistakes, things have changed. We are on new ground in the fight for UFO truth. On October 16th, Richard Dolan stated that throughout UFO history, starting in the 40s and 50s, there have always been individuals and groups fighting for what we now call disclosure. But something has changed. Here's what he said on the podcast Need to Know with Bryce Zabel and Ross Coulthart.
And there's something different now. And I was thinking about this, asking myself, what is different? And I think what is different is that the spigot, the volume of UAP revelations now, it has gained a kind of traction that is vastly more profound than it's ever been. The resistance is every bit as intransigent as it has been in the past. And indeed, on the Immaculate Constellation story, we have more denials from the Pentagon. Nothing is new. But the fact is that if we see ourselves as the offense, it's like we got a new quarterback, a couple of new receivers, and a better front line, and we're just pushing a lot harder than we used to. And I think that is the difference. They are the same. That is, the establishment is as intransigent as before. But the offense, that is the disclosure group, I think I think we got more players, we've got more information, more sources coming in, and it's becoming much more of a game now.
The main event for the remainder of 2024 will, of course, be the upcoming UFO hearing slated for November 13th, chaired by Representative Nancy Mace. I think that will create the most waves and have the biggest impact on informing the public about how the U.S. government is hiding information on what they know about UFOs, the cover-up, and the importance of the topic. But there are many other events scheduled for happening within the remainder of 2024, and I'm going to share as many of them as I know and remember. Why don't we start with a mini-series that is scheduled to drop on October 27th, this coming Sunday, on the service MGM Plus, titled Beyond UFOs and the Unknown. And I quote, "Following revelations of a secret government program studying UFOs, many experts have stopped asking whether UFOs are real and have started wondering, what are they? The answer could change everything we thought we knew about human consciousness." Now, the following are some of the people it will be featuring, and I quote, "Featuring Jacques Vallée, Whitley Strieber, Gary Nolan, Leslie Kean, Brian Bender, who was a former defense editor of Politico, Christopher Mellon, Tim Gallaudet, retired Rear Admiral, of course. He was the head of NOAA. Greg Egigian, professor of history and bioethics at Penn State. Mitch Horowitz, author on modern occultism. Jeffrey J. Kripal, professor of philosophy and religious thought at Rice University, and many more. So the roster that will be part of this program looks really good and really promising. And as I recall from watching the trailer of it, former pilot or aviator Ryan Graves will also be in this production. Now, I don't know if anything new will be in this documentary or this miniseries, but it will certainly help spread awareness of the importance of the UFO topic and the irresponsibility of the U.S. government's handling of this topic. MGM Plus is a major service. All of these participants are credible people. So I think this will have a very positive impact on the conversation, and I look forward to watching it. Let's continue. Another docuseries coming out soon, I would assume before the year's end, is titled The Beyond: UFOs in a New Reality. I'll read the synopsis. As people and governments around the world come to terms with the reality of the UFO phenomenon, top experts in science, philosophy, religious studies, and more are grappling with its implications for humanity. The Beyond: UFOs in a New Reality explores how these revelations challenge our understanding of history, non-human intelligence, and the future. Through interviews with leading researchers and experiencers, this docuseries uncovers the latest evidence and theories, offering a fresh perspective on how these discoveries could reshape society and our place in the cosmos. Featuring Jeffrey Kripal, Diana Walsh-Pasulka, Alex Dietrich, Whitley Strieber, Aya Whitley, Michael P. Masters, Joshua Cutchin, Greg Bishop, and more. Interestingly, this docuseries was written by Kelly Chase with J. Christopher King. Kelly Chase and J. Christopher King are prominent figures on UFO Twitter. And J. Christopher King is what we would call, I think some people would call him a super experiencer. So he has a lot of personal experience with anomalies, shall we say. And Kelly Chase is fairly new to the UFO game. She's also had anomalous experiences, but she's fairly new in terms of immersing herself in this topic. And so I think she has a fresh take on the subject, which I think could be a real asset. So I really look forward to this docu-series as well. And just like the last one we covered, I think this docu-series will really help to raise awareness of this enigma and get people interested in it who maybe are less aware of it. And I think this docu-series will also be interesting for those who have long been interested in the topic as well. Unfortunately, there's no release date yet, but here's a tweet from October 17th. The commenter wrote, "What's the latest on the release of your documentary?" Kelly Chase responded, "It's done. We should have a release date in the next few weeks, and as soon as we do, we will be shouting it from the rooftops." So the next event that I want to cover that will drop before this year's end is George Knapp's upcoming docuseries, Investigation Alien, that will be available on Netflix. As I recall, it's a 6-part series. I will play 2 clips for you from Weaponized episode 60, in which George himself goes into it.
It's something I've been working on for 16 months, which is why I missed some Weaponized episodes from coast to coast, a lot of stories for KLAS, but it's finally going to be coming out. It's a multi-part series. It is currently being edited and translated into 124 languages.
Is there anything you can tell me right now that you saw, captured, anything weird?
Yeah, a UFO that becomes a USO. That's pretty spectacular stuff. Now, I've shared that with you. You've seen it, and it's pretty cool. And then Colares comes to mind, Mexico, Tampico, a lot of pretty cool stuff. Hopefully, we'll be able to share a lot more in the next episode of Weaponized. It was a lot of work went into this, a lot of travel, a lot of miles, and hopeful that it's going to be great.
Here's even more details of which George Knapp's upcoming docuseries Investigation Alien comprises of. Joe Murgia on October 12th wrote, "From Knapp's Facebook." So obviously this is a post from Knapp's Facebook. For the past 16 months, I have been quietly working with an excellent team assembled by Netflix to put together this 6-hour documentary series. Can't even guess how many miles we logged while slogging through jungles, across parched deserts, bouncing around on turbulent ocean waves, and meeting with dozens of witnesses, whistleblowers, scientists, and some of the sharpest minds to ever tackle this strange subject. The series is currently being translated into 124 languages and will debut worldwide on November 8th. So it's clear to me this is going to be a very top-notch production, just like all the other productions I referenced. This will definitely help raise awareness of this enigma. George Knapp has been studying and investigating UFOs for decades. He's an investigative journalist by trade, so I think we're in for a real treat with this upcoming Netflix docuseries. One of the most anticipated events before 2024 comes to an end is James Fox's upcoming documentary, The Program. It's going to be a big deal, and even though it's my perspective that the November 13th upcoming hearing with Nancy Mace is going to make the most waves, James Fox's documentary, The Program, isn't far behind. Now, the person who broke the Immaculate Constellation story is a journalist named Michael Schellenberger. And it's important to recognize Michael Schellenberger is not a UFO person. He's a very, very respected investigative journalist that has broken stories and covered stories of, in fact, I think he said at one point his bread and butter. Let me have Michael himself explain what his bread and butter is as a professional investigative journalist.
And, I should say for viewers who don't know, my bread and butter has been on covering abuses of power. We've covered abuses of power, including the weaponization and politicization of the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security, on free speech issues, but also on retaliations against whistleblowers. This is absolutely a nonpartisan issue. It doesn't matter your politics. You do not want the agents, the investigative, security, police functions of your government being weaponized for private interests or political interests. That's a very, very dangerous moment. That's how you get totalitarianism. So for me, this is fun. This is first and foremost a story about abuses of power. You might think that what people are seeing, these UAPs, are just new military craft and it should be kept secret from the American people. That's fine if you think that. But they still are required by the Constitution to inform members of Congress about those programs.
The fact that Schellenberger broke the Immaculate Constellation program story gives it more credit, in my opinion, because he is not part of the UFO world. He's only done 2 other stories on it. It's an extremely tiny fraction of what he does. So he doesn't have some kind of intrinsic UFO bias that it could be argued some other journalists might have. So, and what he's covering here with Congress not being in the loop about what the government knows about UFOs is, it's not a new story in the sense that this has been claimed for many decades, going back to the 40s and 50s up until present day. And that's one of the reasons I think there's truth to the proposition that the U.S. government is covering up UFOs, because this is the smoke for that claim has been persistent for decades, and it hasn't gone away. I think there's very strong probability the U.S. government is actually covering up UFOs. Some people think it's actually just American technology that they don't want to reveal to Congress. I don't buy that, but either way, as Schellenberger underscored, it's completely illegal to keep oversight committees of the U.S. Congress out of the loop. Now, here's an interesting tweet Schellenberger published on October 21st. People say UAPs, UFOs are just balloons, birds, or secret weapons programs. Whatever they are, it's illegal for the Pentagon to hide what it knows from Congress. And this new @James Fox documentary will erase any doubt that the government has been hiding a lot for decades. Obviously, Schellenberger saw an advanced screening of the film. James Fox responded, "Thank you, Schellenberger, for the support. I am flying to Los Angeles right now for huge meetings tomorrow with over a dozen potential platforms. We will be making an announcement as soon as we can regarding the precise air date later this year. Again, many thanks to all of you for your patience." On September 28th, host Jesse Michaels interviewed James Fox, the director of the upcoming documentary, The Program, which we're talking about right now. And in the following clip from that interview, he talks about how tough it was for early advocates for UFO transparency, and how during the July 26, 2023 UFO hearing with Commander David Fravor, Lieutenant Ryan Graves, and disclosure and Intelligence Officer David Grusch, he had tears flowing down his face for the 90-minute duration of that hearing.
You know, all these people that came before us that were advocates and pushing, and they really had it tough. Like, my God.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they never got to see what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate as someone who's been doing this as long as I have.
Yeah.
To see what's happening today. It's fast. When I watch those congressional hearings, I'm not kidding, man. I had tears just flowing down my face.
Yep.
For an hour and a half straight.
Yeah.
I was like, it's coming out.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, we're not having the progress that we'd like to see is happening as quickly. I say, be patient, you guys. Like,
I was in that room. You should have been in that room. For me.
I had a conflicting thing, and I just simply couldn't be there. There was something going on for a filming. I was delivering something. I can't remember. I was like, if I killed myself, I could have made it, but it was like that kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
But I just say, be patient. We're going to see significant pushback. Lou Elizondo's book. There's other documentaries. There's the program coming out. I don't see, quite honestly, how the program is not going to make waves.
Yeah.
I think we put together a pretty compelling case.
Oh, it's incredible.
Right?
It's awesome.
Like,
I think it will make waves.
I do think the program will make waves. And as Schellenberger stated, he said that it will be very clear after watching it that the Department of Defense is not being transparent with the Congress regarding UFOs, whatever they may end up being. And I got a message, a public message, but I'm not going to reference who it is. Someone from a crowdfunding source. He said, "I hate predicting the future, firstly, but if all goes to plan, it may look like this. The Nancy Mace hearing will likely create big headlines. Everyone is being ultra cautious with sharing any details on other witnesses aside from Tim Gallaudet. I think that is for good reason." Also, he stated, if release isn't disrupted, there will be a huge UAP documentary in addition to the one by James Fox. Don't know what he's referencing, but everything I'm sharing in this video about what's going to happen in the remainder of 2024, there may be other things that I'm just not privy to. Take that for whatever you will. But we are in very exciting times. And, the program movie or film is serious business. And it demonstrates how far we've gone, that we can get films like this with whistleblowers and credible witnesses willing to go on the record and talk about this topic. I don't think you could have done this decades ago. I think we're in a new era, as Richard Dolan said himself. I do think Richard Dolan has a healthy dose of pessimism, but he also, a healthy dose of pessimism regarding getting disclosure, but he also recognizes that the playing field has changed. And, it's easy to become discouraged or impatient, but stop and smell the roses. Stop and smell the roses and be grateful for where we are, because there are advocates who came long before us who only dreamed of having a hearing like we had in July of 2023 with David Grusch, and only dreamed of having the kind of legislation that is passed and that's trying to get passed as we've had. So while I know the temptation is strong to complain about the lack of progress, I'd ask you to temper that with acknowledging how far we've come and, frankly, how interesting the remainder of 2024 might be. A series of tweets just dropped that are very pertinent to this video, so let's go over them. On October 24th, 2024 at 6:55 p.m., Mike Disclosure tweeted, breaking news. The House Oversight Committee public UAP hearing scheduled for November 13th, 2024 might be canceled. Confidential sources within Congress have informed me that ranking members of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Representative Mike Turner and Representative Jim Himes, are working with high-ranking members in the Pentagon to have the upcoming hearings canceled. Turner and Himes are presenting a bipartisan approach against disclosure on behalf of national security concerns from the Pentagon. The recent Michael Schellenberger article about the USAP Immaculate Constellation will be a focus in the upcoming UAP hearing on November 13th. There are several witnesses with direct knowledge of this program who have come forward to Congress. One of the witnesses is expected to testify about the program at the hearing. The Pentagon is trying to pressure Congress due to national security concerns to cancel the November 13th hearing. Representative Turner and Representative Himes are backing the Pentagon in Congress in those about those concerns. This story is still developing, so stay tuned to this channel for future updates. And then Jeremy Corbell chimed in, stay the course. We expected this. We are prepared for this. This is their death rattle. Those who don't want you to know. Nothing can now stop significant information from coming out. Literally nothing. I personally have no control over that anymore. Go UFO transparency. Now, as you recall, in an earlier clip I shared from Weaponized Podcast episode 60, Jeremy Corbell stated that if this hearing does not happen, people are going to come out regardless. And people, as I understand it, that wouldn't have even been part of the hearing. So people, in addition to those who are going to be present for the hearing, and they're going to spill the beans. So in other words, as I understand it, and as Jeremy seemed to say in that clip that I already shared with you, we can do this the hard way or we can do this the easy way. But whether or not we get that hearing in November 13, this information will be coming out. Back in July 27th, civilian analyst Matthew Pines on the YouTube channel What Bitcoin Did said the following regarding something big that will likely happen before the end of the year.
I believe the coup de grace will be coming sometime this year with someone that everyone would recognize if they watch, if they paid attention to the news, you would know this person.
Now, he's referring to someone that will come forward that we will recognize if you watch the news, who will back up UFO whistleblowers David Grusch's claims about a UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, a cover-up, and laws being broken in relation to that. He also said that other people will come forward in addition to the coup de grace individual. Now, coup de grace is a French term that means like final blow, suggesting that this person that will come forward to back up David Grusch's claims will have a huge impact on the conversation. Now, it's already October 24th right now, so we don't have much time left in the remainder of 2024, and I haven't heard any updates from Matthew Pines on this, but he was very clear when he made this statement, and if this does indeed happen, it will be a huge deal. And part of the disclosure itinerary, if you will, that encompasses the remainder of 2024. Exciting times Indeed. Let's transition to the upcoming Soul Symposium that's scheduled for November 22nd and 23rd at the Fort Mason Center, San Francisco, Stanford University. I'm going to read the whole synopsis. I'll do it very quickly and clearly. I think it's worth it because this is a very important event that is occurring before the year's end. And I quote, Soul's 2024 Symposium, November 22 to 23 at the Fort Mason Center, San Francisco. Over the last year, unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, have become more visible in our world, with sightings on the increase and government, academia, and media taking notice as never before. This growing acceptance of a UAP presence, however, foregrounds just how little we understand about these enigmas, the alleged science and technology that make them possible, and what the United States and other governments may have learned about them over the years. We also are only beginning to anticipate the likelihood of a future in which UAP are taken for granted, with all the radical changes to our world and self-understanding that will bring. There will be 12 guests at this upcoming symposium, and yes, as I understand it, it will eventually make it onto YouTube, just as last year's Soul Symposium did. I want to just go over one of the guests because he's particularly interesting. His name is Eric Schrock, former Deputy Director, Technology Development and Integration, Lockheed Martin. Now, what makes him interesting is many credible people have claimed that Lockheed Martin is one of the corporations that was handed non-human intelligence craft for the intention of striving to understand it and ultimately duplicate its technologies. So that's interesting. I wonder if Eric Schrock will discuss those allegations, but we'll see. I think that this symposium, which will be happening for the second year, really goes to show how far away the UFO issue has moved away from the fringe and has been more deeply integrated into the mainstream, a process that is continuing to happen. Let's transition to the anticipated, highly anticipated Dan Farah documentary that will feature Lou Elizondo, among others. And I think it was alluded to on July 5th, 2023, on an episode of Merged Podcast with host Lieutenant Ryan Graves and guest Commander David Fravor. I'm going to play that clip and then we'll unpack it. And hopefully Dan Farr's documentary will drop before the end of the year, although I don't know a date right now.
Okay. Well, Dave, it was an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
I think to your point, we are going to see a lot of changes in this area over the next few years. So perhaps we'll have you back on and we can discuss some of them.
You know, Ryan, I hope we do, and I hope I get invited back. I think, you know, there's some stuff coming out. You know, there's the documentary that I know you're a part of that's going to be coming out that I think is going to be game changing. There's been a lot of stuff said, but I think this is going to have the right amount of people. I'm not saying who it is or when it is, but there is something being put together that I think, you know, hopefully it will come out and it'll be, you know, that one thing that pushes it over that says, all right, we can't, the cat is definitely out of the bag, because I think there's going to be some interesting information that comes out in it. So it'll be good. I think it's an exciting times.
Commander Fravor did not mince words. He said, stuff's coming out, documentary that I know you're a part of. He explicitly said game-changing. He said there's been a lot of stuff, but I think this is going to have the right amount of people, and I think he's emphasizing the people in the sense that really highly credible people, maybe government personnel, people we would recognize going on record about UFOs in such a way that it will truly make waves and be disruptive, frankly. That's the impression I get. Then he goes on to say, regarding this upcoming documentary, that one thing that pushes it over that says the cat is definitely out of the bag. Interesting information that comes out in it. He was referring to the interesting information. So I do think this is Dan Farr's upcoming documentary that I think will be disruptive, literally, just like James Fox's documentary will be disruptive and it'd be a powerful force to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the U.S. government to frankly just stop lying about what they know about UFOs and desist from the blatant, misleading rhetoric that they've been doing for so long. So it seems to me that everything is going in this direction of disruption. So since the 40s, the US government has been able to get away with absolute obfuscation and lying about the true nature of UFOs. But now it seems like that is becoming less and less of an option for the US government. We're not there yet where it's impossible, but I think we're getting closer to that environment where it's just going to be ridiculous if they keep trying to downplay the sheer scientific mystery of UFOs and the reality, as far as I'm concerned, that they're not coming from SpaceX, they're not coming from Lockheed Martin, they're not coming from Boeing, they're not weather phenomena. There is a presence here on Earth that simply exceeds human technology and is not coming from humanity. And that's where this is all headed, in my opinion. And this upcoming documentary by Dan Farah is going to paint that picture with greater clarity. But we'll see. Things are getting interesting, that's for sure. I have some breaking news. On October 25th, 2024, Matt Laszlo of Ask a Poll wrote, "New exclusive, UAP chair at Nancy Mace. Come hell or high water, I'm holding a hearing November 13th. There has been some chatter that interests are pushing back against this hearing happening. And so Nancy Mace, Representative Nancy Mace, quote tweeted this Ask a Poll tweet and responded, "If anyone thinks I buckle under pressure, they must not have met me yet. I love good pressure cooker. Once my mind is set, there's no stopping me." So make no mistake, the November 13th hearing looks like it's going to happen. And I'm optimistic that it's going to be exceedingly disruptive, but in a good way, helping to facilitate the American people and the world at large to know what's going on about UFOs. So today should be October 26th, and tomorrow, a very promising docuseries of which made up my list of events that are going to occur before the year 2024 ends will be happening. Here's a tweet from the co-executive producer of this docuseries titled Beyond UFOs and the Unknown. He wrote, "Beyond UFOs and the Unknown premieres Sunday night on MGM+. We tried to push this story beyond machines in the sky. It's about the very nature of what it means to be human and why UFOs are just the latest in a long history of the unexplained." As of right now, October 26, there's only 66 days remaining in 2024, and yet there are multiple highly anticipated events that many believe will change the conversation on UFOs. That's exciting. And so I think it's very apt for me to end this video with a conversation that took place in the original Matrix movie. And I quote, Dozer said, "He still needs a lot of work." Neo responds, "What are you doing?" Morpheus responds, "Your muscles have atrophied. We're rebuilding them." Neo responds, "Why do my eyes hurt?" Morpheus responds, "You've never used them before." Morpheus continues, "Rest, Neo. The answers are coming." And indeed, I cannot definitively say how the next 66 days are going to unfold, what kind of impact all these highly anticipated events are going to have. But what I can say with great confidence is that the answers are coming. And on that note, please do not forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You could become a patron. You could become a YouTube member. You could give me a one-time donation. All those potentialities can be accessed in the description box below. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy, and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all YouTube members, patrons, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.